Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Johnson. I'm going to take some time to deal with a problem that faces all of us, one way or the other, and that's depression. Now, let me mention to you first of all that if you happen to be depressed right now, and that's why you're watching this, you're not beyond hope. There are loads of people out there that are depressed who constantly get hope, and I see people who seem to be amazingly depressed, both young people and older people as well, who are brought back to their senses and their joy of living. So if you're watching this video, there's hope for you. It's very possible that you're so depressed you decided there was no hope. That's not true. There is lots of hope for you, and I'm going to talk to you later about how to revive that hope and how to get that hope that you need. But first, I want to talk to you about depression in general. Now, whether you realize it or not, you get depressed, I get depressed. There are reasons for depression. And depression is part of an emotional experience that bothers all of us and interferes with our life. Now remember this, all of us, before anything else, are emotional beings. Now we are many things, primarily in 4 categories: emotional, physical, spiritual, and social. We care about what the mind thinks, we care about how we feel. All of that is very dependent upon our mood and whatever the circumstances are that brought us to whatever gives us the feeling that we have. But some of us become very angry and very depressed. There are treatments for depression, and they aren't necessarily medical medicines. You don't necessarily have to take anything for them, although there's a lot of help and, of course, constant research because of the amounts of suicides and other problems that exist that we're constantly trying to combat. But if you happen to be depressed, it would be best to keep your mind open, to listen, try to forget how you feel, and ask yourself, what can I do for me? Where am I? And why do I feel the way I do? Which is, by the way, the first beginning of therapy. Asking your question, why do I feel the way I do? And if you can self-analyze, then you're way ahead of the game. But there's a reason for you to feel depressed, and you're choosing, by problem, to be what kind of mood you're in. Now, that's another important point that you probably need to remember. Not only number 1, that we are emotional beings, but number 2, that you are usually choosing what kind of mood you want to be in. Although you may be comfortable with something that pops up like anger, or like sadness, or like crying because you've conditioned yourself in some way, shape, or form. But whatever it is that you've conditioned yourself to, you can learn, and so that'll create a certain amount of response. Some of us have problems with very swaddling movies, romantic. Some of us cry when somebody gets kissed. Some of us cry when we're in danger. All of those moods pop up and create a very possible depression. Now, I don't care where you are or what you're doing. You look at the people around you, walk out on the street around you, those people walking by you have all experienced depression. And we all create our own depression as well. So, it's a good idea to remember that you are not alone in your depression. You sometimes experience problems. And sometimes you have to react. Nothing wrong with that. The point is reacting and then getting on your feet and working your way out of the problem. You don't want to just go into the tunnel. You want to be able to get out of it. And that's what happens sometimes. People who are depressed decide they don't want to fight their way out of the tunnel, and so they don't. Next thing you know, they're depressed for years. Some people are depressed for a lifetime. Some people talk themselves into death because they become so depressed. I want to hope that you who are watching this don't get to that point. I hope that you understand that there's a lot of hope in you and a lot of life in you, no matter who you are or how old you are. You've got a lot of places you can go and a lot of things you can do by choice. But understand first of all that everybody gets depressed, and everybody is basically emotional. So how you feel pretty well determines what you do. How you act and what you're thinking pretty well determines what direction you're going to go. We're going to talk about this more.